98.5 Speed FM. Make you catch us if you fit.
Showing you wrong from right. I'll let you guide me. Just stay beside me. Oh, nobody wants to go it alone, and I just wanna stay here with you. You are a rainbow, so I am lucky. I am lucky. You are my favorite song. I am lucky. 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 Seasons change, but you're the same. Your love is constant. You've never lost it. Your voice is calling out my name. It makes me miss you, even when I'm with you. Oh, nobody wants to go it alone, and I just wanna stay here with you. You are a rainbow, so I am lucky. I am lucky. You are my favorite song. I am lucky. I am lucky. I am lucky.
A speedy welcome to the show for everyone. This is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And I'm your host today. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior, and it's the lane where we drive through real life conversations that make you think, make you talk, and sometimes make you check how you live. Now, today is the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, a day designated by UNESCO to celebrate, promote, and support the participation of women and girls in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, what we call STEM. And the goal is simple but powerful: to remind the world that girls belong in science, that women can lead in laboratories, engineering workshops, technology firms, and innovation hubs, and that we must break the barriers that stop them from chasing these careers. And that brings us to our focus today: encouraging women and girls in science and in STEM fields. Because while we all know girls are brilliant, there are still perceptions that science, mechanics, electricity, programming, or engineering are all boys' work. But some girls shy away because society tells them they are not feminine if they work with circuits, machines, engines, or lab experiments. And others are discouraged at home. Maybe parents or teachers sometimes think girls shouldn't study chemistry, physics, or technical subjects. So today on the Speed Lane, we are asking, how can we encourage girls and women to pursue science, engineering, mechanics, technology, and all the STEM fields? You also can call in to be part of this conversation at any point in time. And the number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. How can we encourage girls and women in science? And let's be honest, we all know examples. Maybe you've seen a brilliant girl in your class who was discouraged from electronics, who was discouraged from one of these science courses, coding or robotic, because it's too technical or it's too manly. And maybe a girl wanted to work in mechanics or engineering but was told that's not for girls. And sometimes it's self-doubt, even with the girls or women themselves, who feel like I am not enough to actually pursue this course. Do I have the brains that men use to actually take this course? But then that is not true. And STEM is everywhere, from programming apps, building robots, designing bridges, working with electricity, to running chemistry experiments, managing data in tech firms, or repairing machines in workshops. And yet the number of girls participating in these areas is still smaller than it should be. So how can we actually encourage girls and women when it comes to science? What do we do from our own level? Are you a girl or are you a woman who is in that science field, who has built a career, or you're actually even in the process of building your career in this science fields? Or are you a parent? How do you encourage your children? Do you only draw your boys towards those science or technical and mechanical perspectives? Is it just the boys that you include? Welcome and watch me do this, because you're going to learn how to do it someday. Or do you also encourage your girls? Call in and let us hear your experiences. Tell us how you encourage your children, how you encourage girls around you when it comes to science. Number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. How can we encourage girls and women in science? Call in and let us know. Hello. So, and like I was saying, the barriers aren't always obvious. And sometimes it's maybe less confident. Sometimes it's stereotypes, and sometimes it's lack of role models, because there are not so many people out there to actually show that where women and girls can be successful in this, which is why some girls or some women just even shy away, even from when it comes to back to studying courses in school. You find a lot of girls shying away from science courses when it comes to engineering, and you're a girl studying engineering. It's like, how can a girl be studying engineering? How can you be studying mechanics? What do you want to do with that? So how can we as a society actually encourage women and girls in science? You also can call in to be part of this conversation, and the number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. Call in and tell us what you do at your own level, and let's just find a way to actually make this together, to actually see our girls, to actually see our women excelling in these science areas. Women who have succeeded in science often have to work twice as hard to actually be recognized, and yet we all know that girls are capable. So what's actually stopping them? Why are people shying away? Does it have to do with the self-confidence from themselves actually, or is it that they are not naturally pushed towards that direction? Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Emmanuel. I'm calling from Northbound.
Welcome to the show, Emmanuel. How do you think we can actually encourage women and girls in science?
Well, I think one of the ways to do that is by early exposure.
Okay.
Early exposure to science related subjects.
Okay, so when you say earlier exposure, let's get more context. What do you mean?
Early exposure in the sense that for games, for example, if you have games that do early exposure for them, like expose them into making things, toys and all of that, problem solving games,
Okay.
and that has to do with the school, type of school they go to, and the parents. Parents have a great deal.
Okay.
A great deal to play in terms of early exposure to all of this. Another way is visible role models. If you have women that have gone into STEM, what we call science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. You
Mm.
can use that as role models. So it still has to do with the children, and sorry, it still has to do with the parents and the type of school they attend. If they
Mm-hmm.
can give them role models, show them role models that have done STEM before, and they are very successful
Mm.
and all of that.
Okay. Thank you so much for calling in to be part of the show, Emmanuel. Now, he mentioned early exposure. And I like how he related that back to parents because most of the time, parents have like the stronger hand. They have more of the job to do when it comes to exposing a child early. But there is this thing where some parents feel like, well, the girls are meant for should they call it like soft work, or girls should not be into engineering. What is you as a girl trying to learn mechanics for, and is that how you want to end up? Don't you want to do all of those other things that you see a lot of ladies doing? So how are you as parents actually drawing your children, your girl child, towards that science direction? How are you encouraging them? And he also spoke about role models and exposing children to role models, showing them, okay, these are some of the people who are involved in this field. These are some women who are successful in this field, and you can also be like them. You can also excel here. And when people say, well, the science courses are just for men, then you shouldn't believe that. So how can we actually encourage women and girls and science? If you have just joined us, this is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And I'm your host today on the show. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior. Now, today is the International Day of Women and Girls and Science, a day designated by UNESCO to celebrate, promote, and support the participation of women and girls in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which we call STEM. Now, the goal is simple but powerful: to remind the world that girls belong in science also, and women can lead in laboratories, engineering workshops, technology firms, and innovation hubs, and that we must break the barriers that stop them from chasing these careers. And that brings us to our focus today: encouraging women and girls in science and STEM fields. So how can we encourage women and girls to pursue science, engineering, mathematics, technology, and all the STEM fields? What do you do at your end? And are you a woman in science? Are you a woman in one of the STEM fields? How did you encourage us? How did you get through that? Can you tell us experiences? And then how can you encourage younger girls to also get into the field? Number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 36485868. Call in and let us know what you do at your own end and how you actually think we can keep encouraging women and girls in science, to also make sure that they are getting through that light. What do you do at your own end as a parent? What do you do as a guardian? What do you do as a friend? And also, if you're one of the women who have succeeded and excelled in these fields, then what are you doing to make sure that even younger women also come up and then swerve towards that direction and actually pick interest in science courses and also become something like yourself? Call in and let us hear from you. Number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. Hello. That is 090 3648 5868. How can we encourage women and girls when it comes to science courses? Now, have you ever experienced a girl being discouraged from studying a certain kind of course because some people would name it as that one is for men and you're not supposed to do it? Have you ever experienced something like that? And sometimes it's not just from a background, not just from other sources, not just from other people discouraging and saying, well, this doesn't fit. There are even women and girls who have that belief that, well, some kind of jobs or some kind of career is considered less feminine, which will make them to lean towards the ones that society has placed as, okay, well, this one is considered feminine, so you can do this. Why are you as a girl going into mechanics? And then when we talk about parents from home actually encouraging or discouraging girls when it comes to leaning towards this direction, we give an example as, why is it that whenever you want to check something when it comes to electricity, when it comes to mechanics, why is that you're only looking towards your male children, you're only looking towards your boys? Well, come and watch this, because you're going to have to maybe do this someday. What happened to the girls? Are they not capable of also doing something like that? Are they not capable of also growing up and then deciding if they actually want to pursue that kind of career? So why do we discourage instead of encourage? And today, let's not forget our focus. We are encouraging women and girls in science. So how can we do that? What do you do at your own end? Let us encourage them. So if you're a woman in science, in technology, in engineering, in mechanics, you can call in and share your experience with us. And then one or two words that you think you can put in to actually encourage. And it's not just the women. Even men can call in if you're in science, technology, engineering, mechanics. You can call in and then put some of these words in into how we can actually encourage girls and women in science, because it seems like sometimes it has to do with they themselves, like the ladies themselves, actually being discouraged or less confident that they can actually pursue that. And I wouldn't blame some people for that, because it's how some of those silent things that society created, and it has always just been, and then we are not breaking free from it. So how can we actually encourage women and girls in science? Number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. This is the speed lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And this morning on the show, we are asking you, how can we actually encourage women and girls in science? And then what are those steps? Because when we talk about for parenting, that early exposure that someone mentioned earlier, then what are those steps that parents can actually take to support girls interested in STEM subjects? And also, how do you encourage them? Because sometimes, okay, you're not forcing your kid to actually pursue a certain career. Hello? You're not forcing your kid to actually pursue a certain career, but then it's more like the things that they notice or the things that you show them around you, the kind of exposure you bring them to. Because if they are only going to places where some of these things are not okay, you're taking just your girl children maybe to things that you yourself consider these are the ones that girls should do. So maybe when you're talking about the kitchen, you're talking about people who want to do mass communication, people you see on TV. I mean, those aren't bad, but then why do we nudge only the girls towards that direction? And then when you have an issue at home with your light and you want to fix, you're like, well, Daniel, come and see this. You have to be watching me, because one day you might grow up and then want to become like this. You might start learning from now in case you want to use it, make use of it at some point in your career or and even in your daily life. Because sometimes you learn some of these skills and it's not that you actually pursue them as a main career, but then you're doing it as something that you know, something that you're used to. And then it's not just when it comes to mechanics and electricity. Even in tech, we hear tech bro, we hear men in technology innovating this and that. But what about our girls? What about our women? So how can we encourage women and girls in science? You also can call in to be part of this conversation. And the number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. How can we encourage women and girls in science? What small actions do you think that even schools, because when we talk about early exposure, it's not just when it has to do with parents, even schools can actually do, and communities as well can actually do to actually encourage girls in mechanics, electricity, coding, or labs? And how can society itself stop associating technical work with just the boys? Because girls are capable, but they need that motivation. They need that encouragement to actually step forward and do these things. So how can we actually encourage them in science? Number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. How can we encourage women and girls in science? Share with us your stories. Share with us, are you someone who is in that field, who is in that one of these STEM fields? And how can you encourage a lady? How can you encourage a woman? And if you're a woman in one of those fields, I mean, you know best, you know your experiences. So how can you encourage your younger ones to actually grow up and pick interest in that field? Or some might pick interest, but then they don't have that encouragement, or they don't have that motivation. They feel like, well, they will lag. But then if they get to hear from someone else who is doing it well, then I feel like that is another encouragement for them to actually lean towards that field. And apart from even the women, even men in these fields, I mean, if you look around you, how many girls or how many women do you see as colleagues in these fields? So how can you actually encourage them? What are some of those words that you can actually put to them to be able to lift their spirits? Let's call it lift their spirits, because some people pick interest, but then they are too mindful of, why are there not so many girls in these areas, and why would I be the only person to step forward and then do something like this when I'm not seeing so many people or so many girls, so many people of my kind actually interested in? So it's like there is that gap that is either maybe they are not capable or they will not excel. I mean, there are so many reasons why a lot of women and girls shy away from these courses, from actually picking them as career path. But then we're not going to dwell too much on that. Let's just look for ways how we can actually encourage women and girls in science. So let us hear from you also. Call in to be part of this conversation. Number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. How can we encourage women and girls in science? Call in and let us hear from you. And if you have just joined us, this is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And I'm your host today on the show. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior. And today being 11th of February 2026, it's the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. A day that was set aside by UNESCO to celebrate, promote, and support the participation of women and girls in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, what we actually call STEM. And the goal is simple but powerful, to remind the world that girls belong in science as well, that women can lead in laboratories and engineering workshops, technology firms, and innovation hubs, and that we must break those barriers, the things that are stopping them from actually chasing these careers. So call in and let us hear from you how you think we can actually encourage women and girls in science. And then a number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. Do you have children who are female children who are interested in one of these things? Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, good morning. Okay, we lost that, but then you can call us back again. Number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. How can we encourage women and girls in science? And I was asking, do you have children? Do you have little ones who actually pick interest in some of these things? and female children actually, or sometimes you're not a parent but then a guardian. What do you do to actually tell them that this is okay to do? Because sometimes some of these kids, maybe as children, they find nothing wrong. They're just saying, okay, I want to become a mechanic like my daddy, I want to do something like this. Then but then they are met with that discouragement. As they grow up, they get to see that, okay, there are not a lot of girls in this field. There are not a lot of girls who are into electrician works. There are not a lot of girls who are into mechanics and engineering. And when you mention some of this career path or some of these courses, then people look down on them. But then it goes beyond just what you see on your street, beyond just the mechanics you see on your street or at the market side. And even those ones, I mean, it's what you decide to do, and then you put your passion, you put your attention, you're determined to do, and you can make it into something bigger. So you as a guardian, you as a parent, you as a friend to someone else, you as a role model to another girl, to another woman, or even if you're a man then, and you are in one of these career paths, you're actually chasing it now, or you already achieved at some point, then how can you encourage women and girls in science? Number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. How can we encourage women and girls in science? Call in and let us hear from you. As a father, when you're changing your bulbs at home, do you engage your daughters, or do you only call your sons to come watch some of the things you're doing? And when you wake up in the morning, you're checking the engine of your car. Do you actually tell your girl child also, like, come and see this? Or do you just tell her, well, go and meet your mom and see what your mom is doing and just do it with her? How about car tires? How about all of these small things that we just look and feel like it's only for the boys? Do you encourage your children when it comes to that part? Or do you just look at it also like, well, when it comes to science and technology, engineering, and all that stuff, then it only has to do with boys? Call in and let us know how you think we can actually encourage women and girls in science. Number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. How can we encourage women and girls in science? Now, earlier our caller mentioned exposure, early exposure. And he related that to parents, which is why I keep emphasizing, because truly when you mention early exposure, and if you want to change a certain way that society looks at things, or a certain way that things has been, then it has to start with parenting. I mean, what the parents are able to put into the children, because I mean, it's kind of harder to go and convince the older generation. Hello? It's kind of harder to first look at the older generation, because some of those people have already made their choices, and it's hard to switch. I mean, it's not completely impossible, but then it's mostly starts from how parents can now bring up their children, how parents can now encourage their female children to be able to lean towards that direction. I mean, not necessarily coercing them or making them to just, okay, do this because I want you to do this, but then are you exposing them to towards some of these courses, towards some of those things that you do the same way that you expose your boys to it? How do we encourage them then, if you're just saying, well, you never call them out to look at some of those things, and then mentioning it now, they seem like, okay, they are just little things, but then they are actually not. Because if you see a child who is growing up and saying, well, I want to become like my mom does this, because she's mostly with her mom when her mom is doing mom things, and then the boys are saying, I want to do this just like my dad, because he is mostly with his dad when his dad is doing dad things. So what do you on your end do to encourage girls and women in science? Call in and let us hear from you. Number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. How can we encourage women and girls in science? And also, our caller mentioned about gaming. And I kind of realized exactly what he meant now when he mentioned gaming. Because even when it comes to buying toys for our kids, there is this line that, okay, this is the kind of toys we are going to buy for the male child. This is the kind of toys that we are going to buy for the female child. And while they are all learning about dolls, I mean, that is not a bad thing to do. While they are all learning about dolls and how to fix dolls' hairs, maybe you're buying the male children. Okay, this is the kind of game. You should learn how to put some of these parts in a car. I don't know, have you come across toys like that where for the men, it's for the boy, like a boy child, is just, okay, you have to learn how to fix this part, you have to learn how to construct this, and it will help you when you grow up. You start picking interest in that, from it becoming something like just a toy for you to play about. You grow up and find yourself leaning towards that career direction. So do you also do that when it comes to your goals, or do you also believe that there is a line when it comes to the kind of courses, the kind of career paths that girls should do and then a boy should do? So how can we encourage women and girls in science? Number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. How can we encourage women and girls in science? Call in and let us hear from you. Let us hear what you think, what you do at your own level, what you as a parent do to actually nudge your girls, to actually nudge your children towards that direction, or what you who are successful in that area of science. Are you an engineer? Then why are you not nudging your girl child to actually go through that level, to that part as well, to actually become something near that part? I mean, you are not imposing some of these careers on them, because I believe that even if you tell children about certain parts to pick as careers, when they grow up, they can change their mind. They can then choose what they want to do. But then that exposure right from small, from when they are young, it actually matters, because that's some of the things that makes them to actually pick interest in certain subjects and to actually want to become them, because they get used to it, they start falling in love with it. But then if you're limiting it only to your boy child, then the girls never learn. They never pick interest, or they just grow up with this belief that, that is not the kind of work that I am supposed to do, or this is not where I am supposed to fall. So call in and share with us how you think we can actually encourage women and girls in science. Number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. How can we encourage women and girls in science? And when we are talking about one of the ways, someone mentioned in schools, the kind of schools that they attend. So, yes, truly the kind of schools, but then we can make it something for every school, because you see to the extent that even when it comes to sports, people have this demarcation of, okay, this is what the boys are going to do, this is what the girls are going to do. So subconsciously, they are growing up with, this is the path I belong, and this is what I am supposed to do, and this is what the boys are supposed to do. So even right early on that stage from school, they are already telling that, well, I am supposed to be at this field, or I as a girl, or I as a lady. It's not ladylike. That's some of the things that people grow up with, or some of the ideas that some women or some girls grow up with, that it is not in their field to actually do some of these things. And you just look at it and say it's a men's work, or it's only the boys that are supposed to be involved. But is that supposed to be so? And I am believing that everyone would say it's not supposed to be so. So what are we doing at our own end to actually encourage women and girls in science? Number for you to call is 0808 that is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. How can we encourage women and girls and science. And if you have just joined us, this is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And I'm your host today on the show. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Baxi.
Okay. Where are you calling from?
I just like you.
You just do what?
I just love you.
Okay, thank you so much for loving me, but that is not what we are on right for now. We are talking about women and girls in science. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm Isaac, calling from Jungle.
Okay, welcome to the show, Isaac. So how do you think we can encourage women and girls in science?
Of course, I have to also back my point on the other speaker that talks about early education.
Okay.
First of all, if you give birth to a female, you have to give an orientation. Of course, from the orientation, the person also, then you train the person based on the orientation given to the person. And then, secondly, the school which we admit also matters a lot, And there are some schools here, you cannot orientate your child to be a science student and take the child to a commercial school. No, it won't work. So we want to take them to science-oriented schools. And then also the school which you're taking your child should be a school where by the time they are coming out of those schools, they should be able to impart knowledge, not just taking them to those schools and then the knowledge gain will not be appropriately taken. So we have to encourage our own so that at the end of everything, they will also have a zeal to educate more ladies into this orientation.
Okay.
So, of course, we have such schools here. We thank God for our excellency for giving us more, more science-oriented schools. Yeah, now have taken all the zones in the state to have technical schools. We're also privileged in my local government constitution where the government secondary school has now turned to technical school, where most of the females from that area can also benefit. Actually, this is one of those things we're talking about here. So, lastly, I want to congratulate all the ladies on today of their gay science, day, right? And thank you so much for the program.
All right, thank you so much.
I wish those the females listening to be able to give one or two reasons to have a cause to have a science-oriented school. Also let me share this briefly. I saw a lady.
Yes, go
from
on.
doing a mechanic site, this motor mechanic. Sorry, motorcycle, this bike, Okada riders, this
Mechanic.
Mechanic. Yes, the lady was able to fix my bike. I'll be taking this bike to one of a friend that I know close, but I'll be having series of problems with this same bike. So there was this day I took this bike to another place. I saw a lady. I said, wow, can she be able to do this for me? She smile. I said, let me test her. So as I speak to right now, that's a lady that will be repairing my bike for me.
Wow.
So it's part of which I will be educating here. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much for calling in to share that with us. And we just heard from him and you heard what he said. But this is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And I am your host today on the show. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior. And this morning, today it's 11th of February 2026. And it's International Day of Women and Girls in Science, a day designated by UNESCO to celebrate, promote and support the participation of women and girls in science, technology, engineering and mathematics. And that is what we call STEM. And the goal is to remind the world that girls belong to science, they belong to engineering workshops, they belong to innovation hubs, and that we must break free from those barriers that stop them from actually chasing these careers, because they are also capable. And that is why we are on this focus today, encouraging women and girls in science and STEM fields. Because while we all know that girls are brilliant, there are still some perceptions that science, mechanics, electricity, programming or engineering are just boys' work. So how can we encourage women and girls in science? Number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. How can we actually encourage women and girls in science? What are those things that you think we can actually do? And our last caller mentioned about early exposure. He mentioned schools, the kind of things that are taught in school, the kind of exposure that they get from schools. And then he also shared a story of someone, a lady that actually fixes his bike now. And that is something encouraging, because sometimes people look at some of these courses like it's not something that a lady should be doing. And even girls themselves, they grow up with this mentality like this is a boy's work and I should not be involved, or I should not do it, or I should not actually go into something like this. So how can we actually encourage women and girls in science? And you can still call in to be part of this conversation. And the number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. Hello. That is 090 3648 5868. Call in and share with us stories that you know. Tell us how you think that we can actually encourage women and girls in science. And if you're someone in this field and you have succeeded, maybe you've seen another lady succeed, or you're a lady yourself who is currently in this path, you can tell us how it is and tell us how you can actually encourage some of these women and then girls to actually follow these career paths as well. Number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. How can we encourage women and girls in science? And we have been talking about some of these barriers. Sometimes it's confidence, sometimes it's stereotypes, and sometimes it's a lack of role models. And for that lack of role models, someone proffered a solution earlier is to exposing children. If you're a guardian, if you're a parent, to actually expose your girl child to some of these role models. Look at this person who has succeeded in this field, who is actually into science, a lady, a girl like you, and she's actually doing well. And we cannot consciously, because sometimes some parents consciously or intentionally actually stop their children or girl children from actually going into things like this, because there is that belief that, well, this is just for boys and this is just for the men to do. But ladies are capable and they are actually doing it out there. So how can we encourage more to actually go into these science courses? Number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. This is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And I'm with you on the show. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior. So you can call in right now quickly and tell us how you think we can encourage women and girls in science. Hello. Okay, we lost that as soon as it came, but then you can call us back again. Number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, ma.
Yes, tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm Asagari.
Okay, could you maybe leave the space where your child is, because his or her noise is coming in. Can you hear us now? Okay, reposition and then make sure that we cannot actually hear your because your child's voice is actually getting through to us more than your voice. So how can we encourage women and girls in science? Number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. How can we encourage women and girls in science? Are you someone who is currently in that field yourself? Then what can we do to encourage other women and other girls who might pick interest but then feel like, well, this is not a girl's work to do, or feel like, well, what are people going to say? That's also one of the things. And when something is unusual, then that is when people don't want to try it. But then if they see other people doing it, and if they get encouraged enough, then slowly you see that a lot of girls will start to pick interest in things like this without fear of judgment, without fear of being perceived as, okay, this is less feminine, and this is not something that a girl should do. And also from the parents, we heard it all. We keep emphasizing on that because that is like the root, and also the schools. So how can we encourage women and girls in science? Number for you to call is 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. How can we encourage women and girls in science? And lastly, the International Day of Women and Girls in Science reminds us that talent isn't gendered. Curiosity, intelligence, and innovation can belong to anyone. I mean, any gender, whether it's a male, whether it's a female, whether it's a boy, it's a girl, women and men, it belongs to everyone. And every girl who experiments programs, builds, repairs, or invents its contribution to the future as well. And if we make an effort to encourage girls at home, cheer them up in school, support them in workplaces, and challenge stereotypes in society, we'll be shaping a world where women in science can also thrive, lead, and innovate without limit. And at this point, well, we have come to the end of the show. And I've been with you on the speed lane this morning. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior. And also coming up next at 10 a.m. is King James 90s Top 10. Right here on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And as you go about the rest of your day, don't forget to remember to encourage, support, and inspire girls in science, and let every girl know that STEM is for her too. Keep your dial locked on 98.5 Speed FM and keep enjoying music of your life.
Radio is magic. Radio transmits fast and